My friends, welcome to the Commander's Crypt. I've got an awesome video for you today. Today I've got the Locust God. Is a very strong but cheap build. But before we talk about that, I'd like to ask you, how would you like to receive a free box of food? Now, when I say this, I don't mean just a free box of food like one meal. I'm talking 6 meals. I can set you up with a free box of meal that'll give you 6 dinners that'll feed you for a whole week for free. It's HelloFresh. I myself have used HelloFresh for months now, and I love it. Me and my fiance cook the meals together. They are fun, fresh, fast, and easy. If you're interested, send me your email address that say I'm interested. I'll get you set up. You'll get the first box free with 6 meals, a whole week's worth of dinner, and then you can cancel anytime. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Locust God. I absolutely love this deck. He's Izzet in 4. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. Izzet in 2. Draw a card, then discard a card. When the Locust God dies, return it to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Crazy strong. You're going to see that this deck is very cheap. It's going to have commons and uncommons that just draw you cards. So you're going to be drawing cards, making locusts, and then of course you're going to have things that are going to buff those locusts to massive proportions, and then you're going to smash your opponents. I will show you. The good thing about the Locust God is when he dies, everybody else's commanders, when they die, they go into the command zone, and now they're taxed to put them back out. Not this guy. If he's exiled, then yeah, he goes in your command zone. But when he dies, he goes into your graveyard, and then at the end of that turn, he goes to your hand. So, someone keeps board wiping, somebody keeps killing your dude, you just keep putting him out without the tax. That is very strong. The gods from the Amonkhet set were very strong. They all had that ability. Heck, all gods are amazing. That whole creature set is amazing. Even the enchantment gods, they're indestructible. And there's one in here, Perforos. I'll show you. So let's do it. Let's get into this. So I absolutely love this deck. It is very strong. I was very surprised at how strong this deck was. So we're going to go with mana. Fast mana. I consider Glittering Stockpile fast mana. It's not the fastest, bestest fast mana. But I really like this card. It's an uncommon. And red and 2, tap it, put red, and then tap it for red, put a stash counter on Glittering Stockpile, tap it, sack it, and then add X mana of any color, where X is the number of stash counters on it. Incredibly strong, especially if you get this thing second turn. Let's say you've got second turn, you've got a Soul Ring or whatever, and you put it out. And this happened to me the other day. I actually got it out third turn, and I couldn't cast anything yet, so I just kept tapping it, and for red, and at the end of the last opponent's turn, I just kept tapping it and put counters on it. You do that for a few rounds, you're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6 mana on there. That's something you could use for a big bomb spell or a big old creature. Get your big creature out before anybody else. Very, very good card. It's an uncommon. Now, here's the fast mana package. If you can't do that, that's fine. There's other good cards. You're definitely going to have a Soul Ring in here, which I do. But, fast mana gets you going quicker if you don't have a mana crypt or whatever, and your play group doesn't allow proxies or whatever. Then there's other ways to go about this. I've also got a Grim Monolith in there and a Soul Ring. Soul Rings are fast mana than anything else that you can put in there, as far as signets, the Izzet Key Rune, the Arcane Signet, Izzet Locket. That's more mana, fast mana. It's not the fastest mana, but it ramps you and gets you going faster. Commander's Sphere lets you draw a card, and that's going to help you later with the Locust God. You could maybe sack this to draw a card to make a insect out of nowhere to block a big old 2020, Merit Lage coming at you or something. Ornithopter of Paradise. Now, I'll be honest. I'll be totally honest with you with this deck. I actually purchased this online on eBay. It really saved me a lot of time to track down all of the instants and sorceries. And I, I really, really like this deck. It's all commons and uncommons. You could put it together yourself. If you want to, maybe go check on eBay and see if there's people selling these. And I'll be honest, I bought it for about $60. And the Locust card is probably $10, $15 right there. So there you go. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just, you know, track down all of these or find other instants and sorceries in red that rummage or draw cards. There's so many of them. But I just want to tell you that there's other options out there. More mana fixing, ramping, is it clue stone, draw a card, sack it if you want. So now we get into the enchantments that help you with this deck. Tectonic Reformation, each land in your hand has cycling red, and it cycles as well. Let's say you're on second turn, you play this, and later on, you know, you're going to show you there's instances where you're going to have a bunch of cards in your hand. There's so many wheels in this deck. So many times I'm sitting there with 15 cards. This happened the other night. I have a reliquary tower in here, and I had 15 cards in my hand. So anyway, what I'm saying is you can start using something like this to rummage for more cards, make more flying dudes, and continue with the plan. This deck makes a lot of insects. I've played games with 20, 30 insects, and then when you put your buffers on there, the other night I had 60 60s coming in at somebody who had 600 life. He had 600 life, and I was still able to beat him. Improbable Alliance, is it enchantment? Whenever you draw your second card each turn, it create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and then there's is it and 4 draw a card, then discard a card. You're not going to be using it for that. You're going to be using it for the top one there. You're always going to be drawing at least 2 cards during your turn, and then there's a good chance you'll be many times drawing multiple cards during other people's turns as well. It's another thing you can do to put up blockers. Midnight Clock. This card is very, very strong. I didn't realize how strong it is. It starts off as mana ramp. It helps you out. And then for blue 2, put an hour counter on it. Or for each upkeep that goes around the table, you can put a hour counter on it. Once it has 12, it goes off. You shuffle your graveyard and hand into your library and draw 7 cards. Very powerful. It's a Time Twister. And Time Twisters is known as one of the strongest cards in Magic. This one takes a while, but when it does, it really helps you out. Now it has thinned your deck. It makes you 7 dudes with the Locust God, and you draw into more stuff. Very, very good card. Struggle for Project Purity. Go check out my Fallout videos. This was one of my top 15 cards. If you're in a pod of 5 guys, you're going to draw 5 cards per turn. You're going to make 5 locusts, and you're going to be drawing a lot of cards. I sometimes play in pods of 6 or 7 guys. Imagine drawing 8 cards per turn, making 8 locusts per turn, and then buffing them later. Very, very strong. Reconnaissance Mission. Kind of the same thing. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Very fantastic in this deck. What it does is it allows you to attack and not have to worry about crackback, because let's say you attack with 10 guys and 9 of them hit. You draw 9 cards and make 9 more dudes that are untapped, and now you've got 9 blockers. This deck allows you to just attack every turn. If you're one of those players that sits there and tries to figure out what you should do for blocks and not, and if you should or if you shouldn't, is everyone going to attack you or not, just get this deck and just go, just hammer down. Just go out after everybody. You're going to be making all kinds of blockers. Next, now another good card that would be a lot like Reconnaissance Mission would be Thassa's Bident. Another good card to check into. The Bath Song. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card, then shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library. Add 2 mana. Very cool, very cool. Chandra Flamecaller. You can put an elemental creature out with haste on the battlefield. Or this is what you're probably going to do. 0, discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many Cards +1. So there you go. You just keep wheeling, making dudes, getting what you need to get in order to buff those guys. Now here's the kill cards in the deck. Perforos, God of the Forge. Whenever one of your Locusts comes into play, your opponents get shocked for 2, and then he can also buff them. 1 red and 2 creatures you control get +1 till end of turn. He's indestructible, so he's going to be very hard to get rid of. He's probably never going to become a creature, so unless they have enchantment, exile, or a chaos warp, he's going to stay in there. Shared Animosity, another kill card. There's basically 2 kill cards in this deck, Shared Animosity and Coat of Arms, and you're going to draw into them. I'm telling you, this deck draws so many cards. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1 till end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. Yes. So in one game I had 18 1/1s because I had 18 Locusts, so they were 18 and 1, and I just basically swarmed the field and won the game. Coat of Arms, even stronger. Be careful though, if somebody else has a bunch of the same creatures out as well, this could be really bad for you. You're probably going to still outpace them making dudes, but be careful. And that's the 2 main kill cards in the deck. You're going to draw into one of them. I guarantee it. Treasure Cruise. When you rummage through your stuff, you're going to have a big graveyard. You exile some of those, and you basically get to draw 3 cards for 1 blue. And there's ways in this deck to make sorceries go off at flash speed. I'll show you. Shenanigans. Sorcery. Destroy target artifact. It has dredge 1. So for 1 red, you can destroy target artifact. Now, what I would probably do is I would probably replace this with a Chaos Warp. This is removal, but Chaos Warp would be much better for any indestructibles or any enchantments that are causing you problems. This deck has problems with removal. It has a few counter spells, and then that's it. If something hits the board that's problematic for you, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to replace this with a Chaos Warp. Draw cards, instant, think quiet twice. It's got flashback, so if you toss in your graveyard, you can use it. Tormenting Voice, draw cards, discard a card. Fateful Showdown, deals damage to a creature or player equal to the number of cards in your hand. Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. So there you go. You get to blast everybody for a bunch of mana, damage. Like I said, the other day I had 15 cards in my hand. And then you draw more and make more Locusts. Neutralize, it is a cycling counter spell. Deep Analysis, it's another rummage target. You throw that in your graveyard and then use it later. Very, very strong card. Could potentially draw you 4 cards. Negate, one of the best counter spells for non-creatures. Volcanic Vision, return target instant sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each creature your opponents control. Exile it. There's just a couple of wraths in here, and that's one of them. Shredded Sails. Choose 1, destroy target artifact, or do 4 damage to target creature, and has cycling. So it has versatility in your deck. Meeting of the Minds. Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Draw 2 cards. So for 1 blue mana, you could draw 2 and make 2 more Locusts. Wheel of Fortune. I know this is a very expensive card, but there's other cards similar to it that don't cost as much money. I do have one, so I'm going to put it in here. Open into Wonder. X target creatures can't be blocked this turn. It is a sorcery. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So there you go. Make as many of your guys as you can unblockable, and then it makes you more dudes when they hit. Brainstorm. It's an instant. You keep it in your hand. If somebody goes to attack you, you brainstorm, put 3 Locusts out to block. Inferno, another Wrath, 6 damage to each creature and player. Flood of Recollection, sorcery, return instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. That's an uncommon. I like this card, Turn and Burn. I like this card a lot. Target creature loses all abilities, becomes a 0/1. Weird until end of turn. Burn deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So with the combination of these for 5 mana, you could kill anything. Chart a course, draw 2 cards, and discard a card if you unless you attacked with a creature this turn. You're probably going to be drawing 2 cards. Faithless Looting, another rummage target you throw in your graveyard to use for later, or just use it first turn. Is it charmed? It's a counter spell. Choose one. Counter target spell unless it's controller pays 2. Shock a creature for 2, or draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Very, very good in this deck. Thrill of Possibility. Draw 2 cards after you discard a card. Starstorm, very good. Wrath. Very good Wrath. X damage to each creature, and it's got cycling. Clear the Mind. Target player shovels a graveyard into their library. Draw a card. You're going to make a bunch of dudes. Foil. Very good card in this deck. You know, if you've drawn a bunch of cards and let's say you don't have a way to keep those cards, you have to discard. But during that turn, you've got this, and if anybody casts anything to try to interact with your board, you just toss an island and a blue card into your graveyard and make sure it's a rummage card, like a Final Analysis. And there you go. Very, very strong card in this deck. It's a force of will. Radical Idea, draw a card, jumpstart, instant. Also in your graveyard, Shattered Perception. Discard all the cards in your hand and draw that many cards. It's got flashback for 7. Very strong. Dream Fracture, it's a cantrip. It counters something, gives you a dude, and replaces itself. Winged Words, 1 less to cast. If you control a creature with flying, draw 2 cards. So for 2 mana, you'll draw 2 cards. Cathartic Reunion, rummage card. Draw 3 cards. Now we get into the creatures that aid with this deck. Windreader Sphinx, whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. Crazy strong, he's a 3/7 flyer. Balmor, Battle Mage Captain, buffs your team anytime you cast an instant or sorcery. And there's Hypersonic Dragon. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. So there you go. 5 mana, 5th turn, you play him, boom, go swing out, and now all your sorceries are basically instants. Very, very good card in this deck. Arjun the Shifting Flame. This guy is better than Dragon Mage. Whenever you cast a spell, put the cards in your hand at the bottom of your library in any order, and draw that many cards. So you don't lose the cards, you're just cycling them, basically, and you're making dudes all over the place. Talrun Sky Summoner, same thing. Instance of sorceries, make a Drake. Merfolk Looter, dig through your deck. Whirlpool Rider, shuffle the cards from your hand in your library, then draw that many cards. Whirlpool Drake, when he comes into play, shuffle the cards from your hand in your library, then draw that many cards. Put into a graveyard, do the same thing. Thought Courier, just like Merfolk Looter. Sage of the Falls. Okay, so when I bought this deck, I didn't realize that this thing was an infinite combo. Whenever Sage of the Falls or another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So a dude comes in, you do the thing. A dude comes in, you do the thing. A dude comes in. I didn't even realize that an opponent of mine said, "Isn't that infinite?" And I looked at it and I was like, "Yeah." And then I went crazy with it. He shouldn't have said anything. Magus of the Wheel, more wheels. Psychosis Crawler, very strong in this deck. He's as big as the number of cards in your hand, and whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses a life. Very strong. Going to ping your opponent's Forgotten Creation. You basically discard all the cards and draw those cards, and then that's it. That's the deck. I put a Reliquary Tower in here, and you need it. I put a Diamond City in here as well. You could do some shenanigans with this. It says and it comes into with a shield counter, and then move that shield counter, that turn if you made 2 dudes. So you make 2 dudes, you tap this and flip a shield counter on the Locust God. You could also do some shenanigans. Play this, goof around, and somebody goes to cast a Destroy spell on your Locust God. You do an instant, draw 2 cards, make 2 dudes, flip the shield on Locust God, and it basically counters what they're trying to do. This is a dual land that's relatively cheap. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanses allow you to mana fix. And then there's going to be cycling cards in here that give you red or blue and allow you to cycle. So there you go. I absolutely love this deck. It's very cheap, very strong. All commons and uncommons. I've got 2 kill cards in here, and you're going to draw one of them. There's so much drawing in this deck with the wheeling and everything else. I absolutely love this deck. It's got a very high win ratio. I'm telling you, sometimes I'm swinging with 60-60s all over the place because you're drawing so many cards, and if they can't kill that coat of arms and you've got backup counterspell backup, it's very, very hard for them to do anything. So send me an email if you want to get a whole week's worth of free food, and we're going to get on out of here. One more thing. I've got these dice, man. Go check them out. You can see the ring in these dice. Go check out the One Ring. Go check out my channel, my store. I've got a bunch of these really cool dice. So there you go. I'm going to get on out of here. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on the next Commander's CRYPT New Orleans.